Thank you for joining us today on Positively Charged Biz. We are here to motivate, inspire, and support our listeners as they write their life stories. We are a proud founding member of the Real Disrupt Podcast Collaborative, and you can check out more awesome podcasts at realdisrupt.com. Thank you for joining us today for the Positively Charged Biz podcast. And allow me to be the first to say Happy New Year, as we are getting ready to turn our calendars to a brand new year of 2021. I thought it was a good time for us to reflect back on a few lessons that I learned by doing the Positively Charged Biz podcast in 2020. Number one, I learned that we all have that pivotal moment in time when we have to choose a path. And sometimes in life, there are multiple times, and those decisions have the ability to propel our lives. These are the moments when everything just feels right, when there's no more hurdles and no more distractions. It just feels like all is well. But then fear of the unknown sets in. I've learned that you have to quiet that inner voice and follow your intuition. And 2020 has certainly shown everyone that we cannot wait for that magical time to appear, because right now is that magical time. It's when you decide that you're not going to make any excuses. You're not going to come up with reasons why it won't work. You're just going to do it and execute. I've also learned that a strong tribe and a community are priceless. You have to find your group that will have your back even in the darkest of days. And once you find it, nurture it, because we cannot do it alone. See, every person that you meet in your life is a puzzle piece. And at times you may not realize how they fit into your life, but they will at some point if you remain open to the relationship. You may question and you may wonder, is this person important? Well, that's the whole thing. We sit around sometimes looking for those, again, magical people to appear. But the thing is that as a puzzle piece, they may link you to the next person. So don't try to analyze it. Don't try to come up with all the answers, because the answers will only become clear once all the pieces come together. So accept people into your life, and also realize sometimes you need to be shown things to remove some of the puzzle pieces. In 2020, I experienced that. I had people that I thought were supposed to be part of my puzzle, but then they fell off and they moved on. And that's okay. You don't have to necessarily keep the same pieces together. Some will come and some will go, and you will continue to build that new puzzle together, depending on the season in your life in which you are in. I've also learned that our brains are always changing. It's actually called neuroplasticity. Do you know how to generate new brain cells? Well, actually, it's all done by learning new things and trying new experiences. See, behind me, there's 3 words. Say yes every day. By challenging yourself to do new experiences, to meet new people, to do something that you've never done before, and getting out of your comfort zone, you actually create new brain cells. And another interesting fact that I learned this year is that 47% of the time, we're actually not paying attention. We're thinking about ourselves, we're thinking about our kids, our jobs, our families, whatever it may be. So what I challenge all of us to do as we turn this page to 2021 is, when you are doing something, wholeheartedly dive in, pay attention, actually absorb it, Because not only will you learn and grow, be present and in the moment, you actually are going to be making your brain stronger and better. So you will continue to thrive regardless of how old you are. I've also learned that being hungry is vital. Now, what is being hungry? Well, I would describe it as that burning desire in your belly. That is actually more important than intelligence. And everyone has capabilities, but it's energy that is the start that activates it. I have seen many professionals that lose their fire in their belly after a few years. And do you know why they lose it? It's because it wasn't truly their passion. See, a lot of times people can be very hungry when something is new and exciting, kind of like when you fall in love with someone initially. But after some time, if you get into the routine, you lose that. But you don't if you truly love it, just like your personal life. Regardless of how long you're with your soulmate, it never becomes stale. It never gets old, and you continue to have that burning desire. It's the same thing with your profession. When you have that hunger inside, no one can beat you. You are truly undeniable and unstoppable. I've also learned this year that everything in your life is negotiable and that the future of work isn't determined by technology, but how you lead and influence your team. I can remember that when shelter in place first happened, there were many people that went quiet. There were many people that got scared of all of that change. But true leaders stepped up, ran into the fire, and were there to lead their teams because, bottom line, people are watching us at all times. Our children are watching us, our friends, our family, and the people that we lead. And how we react and how we're there for them and how we guide them through these difficulties, that is true leadership. So I encourage all of you, don't hide, don't become quiet, use your voice and allow others to follow you because you can truly make a difference in the world. I've also learned that the only way to sell is from the heart. And here's an example of puzzle pieces. About 18 months ago, I started listening to a podcast called Selling from the Heart with Larry Levine. Well, I have a rule that if I enjoy someone's book, podcast, TED Talk, I connect to them on LinkedIn. So when I did that, after quarantine happened, the leaders were actually connecting to people and socializing. And Larry commented on one of my Motivational Monday videos. And he asked me if there was anything that he could do to help me or my team during these challenging times. Well, I immediately responded, stating that we're good, but how would you like to be a guest on my podcast? Well, he said yes. And since that moment in April, he was a guest on Positively Charged. He was a guest on my Women's Mortgage Network weekly growth series. I was a guest on his podcast. He introduced me to the top women Canadian mortgage broker with whom I wrote a feature article in Women with Vision magazine. And then he introduced me to the publisher of my upcoming book that launches on January 25th, Say Yes, Every Day, Discovering Your Superpower. So if I had never connected to him on LinkedIn, none of those ripples would have happened. I also learned that there's 4 different communication types. And if you can identify them and the way that people like to be communicated to, you can connect to anyone. It's actually called hero conversations. And there's 4 styles. The first one is heartfelt. The second is energetic. The third one, R, is researcher. And the O and fourth one is organizational. I learned that until you truly know how to communicate with others, you can never really bond or serve them. Tony Robbins has said, to effectively communicate, we must realize that we are all different in the way we perceive the world, and use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others. I also learned that gender physics and imposter syndrome are real. Gender physics is why we need to be able to balance masculine and feminine energy in our own, because if we sway one way versus another, we cannot be fulfilled and balanced humans. Then, after one of my female brokers told me that she suffered from imposter syndrome, I Googled it and found a doctor that wrote a book about it. And Dr. Valerie Young taught me that 70% of all people suffer from feeling like they are not worthy at some point in my life. So, as we close out 2020, and boy, have we learned so many lessons. I don't think any of us are the same as before the global pandemic started. But what I can tell you is that I have met some of the most wonderful people that have shared their insights and their expertise and their personal journeys to be able to help others. And I encourage you all to continue to share your stories, because we all have a story. And by sharing a piece of ourselves and the superpowers that each of us have is a gift to the world. So I encourage you to continue to spread your light to others. And from the bottom of my heart, Happy New Year, and may 2021 be your best year ever.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Positively Charged Biz. I'm Laura Brandeo, and we are here to motivate, inspire, and support our listeners as they write their life stories. If you have an inspiring story, please email me at laura@positivelycharged.biz. And remember to subscribe to hear more great guests. And connect to us on Facebook at Positively Charged and Instagram at Positively Charged Podcast. Until next time, we wish you a positive day.